on credit cards. Everybody's got the best card on the market, and they're all trying to convince you to do business with them. The purpose of this evening's presentation is to teach you how to make the best decision on what card is right for you. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie Naha. She's our Financial Education Coordinator who is going to be conducting this evening's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. Welcome, everyone. And also joining us this evening is Julie Karapetian, and she's the manager of our Card Services Department. So I do want to encourage the class participation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in, and then we'll address them towards the end of the evening. So as Manny mentioned, this evening what we're going to cover is understanding fees, terms, and conditions overall of how a credit card functions. Many times, there's certain industry jargon we'd like to say, a lot of like terms, conditions, acronyms, and so on that maybe, they may seem foreign to you. So today we want to make it easy, so then that way when you're looking over your credit card statement and you see something that may seem foreign, you may be able to identify with it now after this session. We're also going to be comparing options and choosing a card that's right for you. And perfect, as Manny mentioned, I'm sure many of you are inundated with weekly offerings in the mail from different credit card vendors, but it's really important to choose a card that suits your lifestyle and your particular needs. So tonight we're going to explore some of those options. We're also going to discuss credit card best practices. And let's face it, the best practice in terms of a credit card is like a tool. We want to use it wisely to hopefully increase our credit rating. So tonight we'll show you a few tips on how to do that. And best of all, tonight's session we're going to cover how to manage your credit card in terms of certain tips. That's going to range from like how to prevent certain scams, what to look for, and just to be wary of your credit card, have it always in your presence, and so on. Okay, before we get started, I do want to shed some light on some credit card awareness. Credit card debt, it does represent a big portion of our total national debt. It can be a major source of financial hardship for many Americans. And this alarming fact, when I did my research, I came to find out that the average American family household has a debt of $6,600. And in recent economic times, that's a cause of, maybe a spouse losing their job or someone having impacted as far as like their income decreasing. So their day-to-day living expenses, maybe the only option was to charge it onto a credit card. We also learned that the average American has 3.5 credit cards. And that could be troublesome because, if you're unable to manage your money correctly, you may find yourself overwhelmed with debt. So tonight's session, what we want to do is give you the information so that you can make wise choices with your credit card so that you can use credit responsibly to increase your credit rating. And I do want to focus on the importance of good credit, and we hear this over and over again. Good credit, it saves you money. And how does it save you money? It saves you money in the form of you getting lower rates on loans and credit cards. So it's no-brainer. You have a good credit score, you're going to get the lowest rate, whether it be on an auto loan, on a personal loan. So it's over the span of your lifetime, it could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Also, it's much easier to get instant loan approval, whether it be you're applying for a mortgage or a car loan. In today's economy, today's economy actually runs on credit. No matter if you're, like I said, applying for a mortgage, car loan, personal loan, it's important to have good credit because, you may need a loan to cover your goals and the things that you want to accomplish in life. Also, often landlords and sometimes car insurance places, when they're looking at dealing with certain individuals, they'll run a credit test just to see the reliability and the responsibility of that certain individual that they want to extend either their apartment to or offer insurance to. and best of all, getting hired. Many of you may not know this, but a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, at the time of hiring, they'll run a credit background check to make sure that your credit's in good standing. No matter whether you have all the education and the experience behind you, if your credit's not up to par, that could actually hinder your chances of getting employed. So it's really important that you understand that all these attributes are important as far as like having good credit. So with that being said, I do want to move along to understanding the fees, terms and conditions of a credit card. And it's really important that when you are shopping around for a credit card to do your homework. As I mentioned earlier, there's various industry jargon, terms and conditions, acronyms, and certain things that you, like I said earlier, you may see on your statement that you're unfamiliar with. So today we want to break down the most commonly used industry terminology when it comes down to credit cards, so that way you can identify what each of those terms mean. The first one, annual percentage rate, or otherwise known as an APR. And pretty much this is a yearly percentage rate, and it's charged on a balance that is held on a credit card. So you'll only be charged if a balance is held. Okay, the next thing I want to mention is a finance charge. A finance charge, those are the things that are billed to your credit card. That could be like a late fee, it could be a balance transfer fee or a cash advance fee, and oftentimes most people get this confused with the interest charge. Okay, so it's really important to know the difference. Finance charges are other things that you'll be charged for on if in the event you complete a balance transfer and there's a fee, that will fall under finance charges. If there's a cash advance fee on your itemized statement, it will appear up as a finance charge. Another thing is you want to be wary of is the interest rate non-variable or variable? Non-variable is similar to a fixed rate, and what that means is it pretty much stays the same for the life of either the credit card. However, it does have the flexibility to change if the credit card institution or credit card company wants to make a change. However, they do have to advise you 45 days prior to them making the change. Oftentimes, that compared to a variable rate is somewhat a rate that can actually change. It can go up or down, and it's tied to the prime index. And credit card companies can, they'll increase it based on the prime index, and you may not receive a notice in that case. Oftentimes, the variable rate, it is lower than the non-variable. However, the downside to that is it has the opportunity to go up and down without notice. Annual fee. Now this annual fee is pretty much an annual charge for having a credit card. And what we've seen in recent years is a lot of institutions, banks, are imposing this annual fee, and there's a reason that this has occurred in, I would say, the last 2 years. And one of the reasons is what you may have heard in the industry, something called the Durbin Amendment. And what this is, it was a law that was passed in October 2011, and what it meant was that retailers, anytime you go and you swipe your credit card, what happens is a retailer pays the bank or financial institution something called the interchange fee. And that interchange fee went from 44 cents to 22 cents after that amendment was put in place. So what does that mean for institutions, banks, financial institutions? That means that their income was slashed. So they had to look for ways to recuperate those that actual income. So what do? Increase fees. That's just one way that they, imposed the change for the loss of that income coming in. 0% introductory rates. Many credit card companies offer this, and it's quite enticing, and you could save a lot of money when you take advantage of these offers. If, let's say, for example, you want to transfer your balance from a high interest credit card over to a 0% introductory one, you want to pay close attention to how long the 0% is going to be in place before, and also you want to make sure that the rate that it jumps to after the introductory rate is reasonable. So let's say they offer you a 0% for 6 months and then it jumps to 22%. Okay, is that in your best interest? So it's really important that you look over the terms and conditions and make sure you're okay with whatever the default rate is. And of course, your minimum monthly payment. This is the minimum required amount to satisfy your monthly payment on your statement. So by paying this, you're satisfying the credit card institution's monthly requirement of whatever it is that you need to pay. So it's a satisfactory amount. Next thing is a balance transfer. Many of you may have heard of this before, and typically all it is that you're transferring balance from one credit card to another. And a lot of people take advantage of this because, again, they can save money from transferring, you know, balances from high interest credit cards to low interest credit cards. A grace period. What is a grace period? A grace period is a period of time that a credit card institution will let you have. Usually it's between 10 to 28 days after your due date in order for you to make a payment without being you know, regarded as late. However, what we've noticed is a lot of members or a lot of people, they rely on this and they figure that, hey, you know, I'm going to make my payment within that grace period. However, you have to be sure and you've got to be careful because, you know, at the end of the day, your payment is due by the due date. So you want to make sure to avoid any interest or being reported to the credit bureaus. It's really important that you make your payment by the due date.
Yeah, and if I can add, Natalie, we've done a lot of financial education, and one of the things that's come out of some of these classes is we'll be talking to the members, and we say, well, you know, your credit card due date is the 1st of the month. And they're like, no, it's not. It's the 14th of the month. And it took me a while to understand what they were actually referring to. A lot of people like to take their payments to the last possible date possible. And the danger of that is you do have that potential of incurring late fees if your payment gets stuck in the mail or something. And you also, again, could be reported to credit bureaus for being late. So it's just not a good habit to get into thinking of allowing everything to go to the last minute.
Okay, thank you, Manny. Very important to keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to address is over the limit and late fees. These are the things that could occur, could be charged to you on your statement if you're not aware of like your credit limit, if you're exceeding your credit limit, or if you're making your payments late. Like Manny mentioned, if you're making it after the due date, within that grace period, you could be subsequent to late fees. So it's really important that you pay attention to your credit card terms and conditions. Another thing that you'll be charged, anytime you advance cash from your credit card, you're going to be charged with something called a cash advance fee. And typically it's 3% of the amount of money that you either withdraw from an ATM or advance from a teller. Now, you want to make sure also, anytime you're under like a special offering, like let's say you're under a special promo, 0% for 6 months, oftentimes that does not apply towards cash advances. With cash advances, you'll be charged finance charges right away, and you'll be also charged the transaction fee for that. So it's really important, once again, you refer back to your terms and conditions to see if the cash advance fee is either always going to be charged if you use it, or whether it's under the free promotion, or sorry, the 0% promotion.
And Natalie, if I can add something, if you do cash advances on your credit card, you want to be careful how you're using those cash advances, because those could catch up with you later. We all have these rough patches where, oops, I can't make this bill payment this month. A cash advance is not a viable long-term option because you're going to continue paying interest on that loan in addition to the cash advance fees. So that is kind of something you'd want to treat with care in your use.
Absolutely. Next thing we're going to address is the billing cycle. And typically what a billing cycle is, it's just a period of time, usually between 28 to 31 days between billing statements. International transaction fee. So for all you jet setters that are looking to travel, or if you've ever travel to a foreign country using your US-based credit card, oftentimes you will be incurred with the foreign transaction fee, and it's typically a certain percentage between 1 to 5%, depending upon the total charge that you make overseas. So it's always a good option to have an alternate source, if not cash, traveler's checks or maybe like a debit card. Just always have another means when you're traveling abroad. Okay. And one last thing that I really want to draw special attention to is something that anytime you're applying for a credit card, you're going to see something that looks like this. And basically what it's called, it's a Schumer Box. Okay, it's a prominent table in every credit card application. And in other words, it's the fine print to the particular card that you're looking to, take out. And pretty much what it is, the Schumer Box, it was named after Chuck Schumer, who was a New York congressman, and he endorsed this legislation in the year 2000 because he felt that all credit card institutions and banks, credit unions, should publish this table at the point of offering a particular card to a consumer. That way the consumer's clear on the terms and conditions of the card, because it's going to address everything, whether the annual rate, what the annual rate is, any other APRs, like let's say you do a balance transfer, any cash advance fees, any default rates, any grace period, annual fees, minimum charge, and pretty much anything like penalty rates, late fees, and so on. So if you're looking at particularly getting a certain card, you really want to pay attention to this box, so then that way you make an educated decision on if that card is the perfect one for you. Now that we understand the terms and conditions of a card, let's go shopping, because let's face it, life can be fantastic with a piece of plastic, right? If used correctly. What you want to make sure is anytime you're shopping around for a credit card, it's really important to ask yourself, how are you going to use this card? Okay? Are you the type of person that's disciplined and is able to pay off the credit card every month in full? Or are you looking to revolve the credit card, meaning that you're only making the minimum payment each month? So let's say, for example, if you're making the minimum payment each month, okay, then your best option is to find a credit card with the lowest interest rate. Why? Because it's going to save you money with a lower rate over the period of along, like let's say, a year or two, as opposed to those people that pay their card in full. They may want to opt for with a card that has a solid reward system and a cashback system. Now, there are many cards on the market these days, okay? Specialty cards, whether it be online retailers, supermarket cards, gas cards, and they all offer special incentives and maybe like a special rebate and so on. But you have to ask yourself, are those particular rebates and offers, are they going to benefit you in the long run? Will you save money over a span of month to month or over a span of a year? Also, there's different cards, like let's say if you travel a lot, okay, you may look for a card that offers you accommodation, rewards such as flights, goods and services, rebates on goods and services, and merchandise. Now, before you go out and purchase the card because it looks nice, or whether you can choose a nice little puppy dog to be embossed on the card, it's really important that you do your homework, like I said before, and that you compare at least 3 different credit cards. That's what we recommend. Don't just choose a card because of its sign-on offer or its particular rebate to your favorite store. You really want to do your homework because, let's face it, you have to live with this card, and it could cost you in the long run more than you actually anticipated. So what you want to do, and I can actually email you this comparison sheet, is you want to compare 3 different lenders. You want to compare their interest rate, whether it be introductory, and then their default. And their default APR, what that means is, what is the rate going to be after the default, the introductory rate? You also want to compare if they charge an annual fee. I know all of our LAPFCU cards are fee-free, so you won't have to worry about that if you do decide to opt for an LAPFCU Visa card. Also, you want to make sure what is the minimum payment going to be. If you're the type of individual that's going to make the minimum payment as opposed to paying it in full, is the minimum payment, does it fit within your budget? Also, the billing cycle, grace period, credit limit, what are the over limit fees, cash advance fees, and so on. So compare 3 different lender type of credit cards and then make the best choice based on your particular needs. So now that we've gone shopping for the plastic of choice, it's really important that we practice best practices and we get in the habit of using the card wisely, okay? So the first thing that you want to pay attention to is don't borrow what you can't afford to pay back on the card, okay? So if let's say you go out and you charge $1,000 on a vacation and you don't have the means to pay it back right away, you kind of don't want to fall in a situation where you're going to owe and you can't make the payment. So it's always important to plan ahead. It's really imperative that you pay off your balance on time every time. In any kind of financial advice that we can give you is this is the most imperative piece of advice that you can take from us. Because let's face it, if you don't pay your balance on time, you're going to get in a situation where you charge overdue fees and it's going to spiral out of control. So you want to make sure that you pay your bills on time. If not in full, that's okay. Just make the minimum payment to satisfy your monthly requirement. That way, the credit card institutions won't report you to the credit bureaus and you'll be satisfying your monthly payment. You want to avoid sharing your credit cards with others. And I know this sounds, well, pretty common sense, but you'd be surprised. Oftentimes you may be in public and you may be using, you may be paying a bill over the phone. You want to be aware not to share your credit card in public places, even if you're paying a bill, even if you're using your credit card to pay a bill. Also, sharing it with other family members, I would avoid doing that because if, let's say, for example, there was a unauthorized charge and the institution found out that you gave the card to your significant other or your child, you could be held responsible for that transaction. Most important, again, you want to check your statements regularly, whether every month or every couple of, every couple of weeks. That way, if there's anything that looks a bit fishy, any transactions that you don't recognize, you can contact your institution and square it off there and then. 2 weeks ago, I had a situation where I was charged a fee from my gym, and they double charged me. Now, if I didn't log in and check my bank statement, I wouldn't have been able to catch it. They would have charged me double, and then I would have gone on, made my payment, and not realized. So it's really important because they could be double charging you, and you could be missing, funds in that manner. Okay. Next thing I want to focus on, because we are drawn to making credit card payments. Let's say, for example, if you had a credit card with a balance of $1,000 at a rate of 16.9%. And let's say you made the minimum payment of $20. Did you know that if over a span of 7 years you would pay $742 solely in interest? That's almost double what the card initially was, the balance on the card that you initially took out. That's alarming to me. So what we recommend is by upping your minimum payment $25, what that will do for you is, reduce your interest. You'll only pay $208 and slash, your payments from 7 years to 2 years and 3 months. So, like we mentioned earlier, if you can't pay it in full, make the minimum payment, but try and make a little bit extra. That way, as you can see in this payment example, it will decrease the amount of time in the long run that you'll be completed with making that payment. Now, if you have a particular balance that you would like to go online and see an estimate as to when you will be completed with that payment, we have a calculator on our website that we encourage you to visit. You go in there, type in your balance, type in the interest rate, and it will tell you when the complete payment will be due. Okay, so tips for managing your plastic. Now that we've gone through the terms and conditions, we've shopped around for the best credit card to suit your needs. We do want to mention how to manage your plastic so it works within your favor, and the favor is to, help your credit rating. So again, we've shopped around, we've read the fine print, we understand the terms and conditions of the card. Obviously, we're going to be paying on time. If not in full, that's okay, as long as we make that minimum payment, we're satisfying our monthly requirement. We're going to limit the number of credit cards that we, take out. Just because you receive 3 to 5 offerings per week, per month, that does not mean that you should go out and, sign on the dotted line and apply for those cards. Why? Because in the long run, you could be tempted to use those cards, and you may not be able to make that payment at the end of the month. Let's say, for example, if you're in a situation where you have 3 or 4 different cards and you're finding it very difficult to manage those monthly payments, you may want to consider consolidating them and doing a balance transfer. That way, you can reduce. You can consolidate the cards, have only one card that you pay on, so it's easily manageable for you from month to month. And you want to avoid unnecessary charges, meaning, if you, let's say that new handbag, got to have it, don't just go out and charge it because you really want it, I think it's always best to, whenever you want to make large purchases, to plan ahead, save for it, okay? That way, when you do make the purchase, you'll feel better knowing that, hey, I can actually afford to make this purchase, and it's just a better feeling. Okay, if ever, hopefully you won't experience this, but if ever you are experiencing financial hardship, whether it be over a span of a month, 2 months, let's say your spouse, or you've lost your job, unfortunately, and you're unable to make the credit card payment, what we recommend is that you contact your creditors before the due date if you're experiencing financial hardship, because let's face it, guys, I can't think of any institution that wouldn't want to help you, in terms of, there's many things that they can do. They can notate your account, they can delay the payment without adversely affecting your credit report. But if they don't know that you're experiencing financial hardship, how can they help you? So it's always best to approach them, because I guarantee you they'll be able to help you out. Just like us, the credit union, we're there for our members, should that be the case for them. Again, one of the tips that I want to mention is to avoid credit card scams. Many of you may have seen this on TV, or may have read about it, heard about it, and it's something that's become prevalent in the credit card industry. And what it is credit card skimming. And typically it's a device, as you can see in this image, and oftentimes waiters at restaurants, certain gas stations, or retail, like if you go into a retail store and you have the cashier working at the point of sale counter. Typically what happens is, let's say you go to make a purchase, you give them your card, and then they swipe your card through the cashier machine. They may also, discreetly swipe the card through this little mechanism, and what this does is it's a magnetic strip reader. And within seconds, think of this little devices like the internet. Within seconds, your credit card is emailed who knows where, and the card is embossed on a piece of plastic. It could be in India, could be in Australia, and that's how the crooks are able to commit credit card fraud. In this other example, what we've seen is oftentimes, let's say at an ATM machine, they'll put a skimmer on an ATM machine, and then they'll have a little camera. And let's say you go up and you put in your card, punch in your PIN number, and what it actually does is that camera is watching the PIN number that you're inputting. So it's really important to always be aware of your credit card, the presence of your credit card. So if you're at a restaurant, or if you're at a store and you find that the person's walked away with your credit card, or let's say you're at a gas station, always make sure, if you're using like your card, to maybe test out the little device and see whether that mechanism, like that actual swipey, whether it's actually connected to the machine, or oftentimes, the crooks will place it there, especially at gas stations. So just want to be aware of that. Telemarketer fraud, we've noticed that this is a common occurrence. Pretty much what happens is, so you'll receive a call from someone asking you for your personal details, and oftentimes they'll call from institutions and places of business that you often do business with. Last week I received a call. I know I get all these experiences, right? I received a call from one of my financial institutions. They wanted me to verify my information because they wanted to give me information on my account, but they wanted me to confirm my social security number. And I said, hang on a minute, this doesn't sound right. How about I get your information and your name, and then I call you back to verify my info? So it's really important not to divulge your personal information over the phone when someone's calling you. Also, dumpster diving. You'd be surprised at how many individuals actually go in trash cans looking for statements, looking for information, whether it be, let's say offerings. You'd be surprised as to how much information they can collect from various different, various statements that you just throw in the trash. So we recommend that you always shred your documents, and the credit card does offer shredded days twice a year. So we recommend taking advantage of that service. Now, what do you do if you are a victim? Hopefully you'll never have to experience this. However, if you are, it's always best to be diligent in the way you handle things. So if you notice something suspicious, or if you receive a call from a creditor mentioning that, hey, you're late on such and such loan, and then you're like, hang on, I didn't apply for that loan, then red flag, you want to take action. From that point, it's best that you contact your institutions, document your every action. You always want to file a police report, place fraud alerts on your with the credit bureaus. So what will happen is, if you contact them and let them know, hey, I think I've been a victim of credit card, or let's say identity theft, what they can do is they can place a notice on your credit report, so that if someone was to subsequently apply for a loan in your name, the credit bureaus will call you personally and verify if this is you making that attempt to acquire credit. You also, like I said, want to notify the credit bureaus that you've been a victim. And also, there's a wonderful resource that the credit union has, and it's free for our members. Hopefully you never have to use it. It's called Identity Theft 911. And what it is you call the credit union, and then we put you through to this organization. And pretty much what it is, it's a personalized one-on-one service with the individual, 24 hours a day. And then they will talk you through, and they will guide you through the process of correcting what's happened to you. They also assist with limiting the damages. They'll be able to provide alerts for the next year, and they provide follow-through. So they're there to try and help you establish your identity, and to also, take care of, like, whatever the crooks did in your name, whatever damage they've done, to resurrect that.
Natalie, if I can add something, if you ever misplace or have your credit card stolen, no member is responsible for the charges that are incurred as a result of a theft if you notify the credit union as soon as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. We have those protections built in, so you will not be held responsible for the charges that you did not make if you notify us. So that's really important.
Very, very important, because in this day and age, like with the credit card skimming happening, it's causing, the United States over $1 billion every year. So it's really important. As soon as you don't recognize that charge, it's not yours, very adamant about it, contact us right away. You will not be held liable for those transactions. Now, moving right along, we've covered all sorts of the terms and conditions. We've shopped around for credit cards, but I do want to let you know the benefits of LAPFCU's different credit cards. We offer cards that offer excellent value to our members, low rates, low minimum payments, and absolutely no annual fees. So to tell you the difference between our cards, we have our classic card. This one here, again, 0% introductory rate for 6 months. There's no annual fee, low minimum payment. This one has a low non-variable APR. Again, that APR pretty much stays the same unless we notify you different. And if we do have to increase it, we'll let you know within 45 days prior. Wonderful feature of this card is that it has a zero balance transfer fee. So if you, let's say for example, you have a high balance at another institution, transfer it to us, no transfer fee, and you can enjoy the 0% for 6 months introductory APR. Again, like Manny mentioned, all our cards have protection against unauthorized charges. The next card I want to alert you to is our Platinum Rewards Visa credit card. The beauty about this card, unlike the Classic, is it gives you merchandise, reward points for travel and merchandise. So that's the difference between the Classic and the Platinum Rewards Visa. And the thing with the Platinum, it is a variable card.
Something else to add, Natalie, is that on all of our cards, we have travel and emergency assistance services. Mm-hmm. So if you're out of the country and you have problems with your card, you have somebody that you can call.
Oh, wow.
And
there you go. An added benefit is the travel and accident insurance, and it's at no cost to you. Another feature that I love about our credit cards is we try and accommodate every member. So we have a unique card called the My First Visa, and this is ideally gauged for those parents that want to co-sign for their student child that's off to college, or you know, that they want to establish credit for their child but teach them the responsibility of being financially independent. Again, this card, the beauty of it, it does have the 0% introductory rate for 6 months. It's free. It's a low non-variable APR for 6 months. Again, if any transactions are unauthorized, the card will not be liable for any of the transactions. This card, like I said earlier, a parent or guardian or grandparent must be a co-signer for this particular card.
And if I can give a true life example, Natalie,
sure.
My brother actually did this with his 16-year-old daughter. As parents, we want to teach our children the right way to handle their finances. So he set a very low threshold for her. She gets a whopping $100 a month to charge. She goes on to Easy Card Info and accesses all her information, keeps track of her balances and her charges and everything. So it's a great way to start teaching financial responsibility to a young person.
That's wonderful, Manny, that you mentioned that. And again, one of the reasons why we wanted to implement a card like this is we did want to give parents full control, and so they can monitor their child's transactions, because a lot of the times that was a big concern whether the kid will go off and spend, like, you know, a lot of money on the card. However, the card has preset limits. So therefore, let's say you only want to preset $200, then they can't spend more than that limit. So it's a good way to teach them financial responsibility. Now, you heard me earlier mention the pros of a balance transfer. A balance transfer is a great feature to take advantage of, especially, let's say, if you have high interest credit cards elsewhere and you want to consolidate them and save some money. And you save some money, like let's say if you transfer the balance over, typically a lot of places like our cards have a 0 introductory rate for 6 months. So obviously you'll be saving money by transferring that balance, you know, from what it was where you have it elsewhere. It's also important to read the fine print on balance transfers as well, to make sure you're not being charged balance transfer fee. And again, our credit cards here with the credit union, there is absolutely no fee. And because we're very generous, on our Platinum Rewards Visa card right now, if you transfer a balance from a non-LAPFCU credit card, you're going to earn double points up to April 30th. So we really encourage you to take advantage of that feature. Manny, did you want to add to that? Great. Okay. Because we're so generous and we want you to maximize your membership, we're also giving you member benefits. And how that works is, let's say you have either a Visa Classic or a Platinum Rewards Visa credit card, and all you need to do is sign up for e-statements and have Easy Card e-statements. So pretty much you go in, sign up for e-statements, which is a one-time thing that you need to do, And then every month, all you need to do is make 2 transactions. And that could simply be, let's say you pay a light bill and then you pay off your credit card. You'll automatically qualify for member benefits. Woohoo! So what do you get out of this? You get no fees for checking accounts, high rates on savings products like IRAs and share certificates up to 0.20 basis points, up to 0.5% off any like vehicle loans that you want to apply for. And also, let's say, for example, you refinance a mortgage or you take out a new first mortgage, you'll get $200 towards closing costs, 1 box of free checks per year, and up to $10 in member-requested monthly fee reimbursements. So let's say you want to visit our Van Nuys Coinstar machine, okay, and cash in all your change, up to $10 will reimburse you for that fee. Or if you wanted to complete a money order or a cashier's check, that fee will be reimbursed to you up to $10 a month as long as it's done on the same day. So with that being said, I want to open the lines to people to ask any common questions that they may have. I have my expert staff here with me, so we'd love to address those concerns, questions, any particular needs that are really unique to you. Please go in and type them in, and we'll answer them to our best of our ability. For those of you that joined us this evening, I want to thank you for your time. And if you do want any extra information or to email me directly, please feel free to email Natalie Nahas so it's Nnahas @lapfcu.org. And for those people that signed on, were our first 10 sign-onees to sign up for this webinar, we haven't forgotten about you. You will receive a $10 Target gift card. So, woo, what a good way to start off your credit card shopping with an added perk of the $10 Target gift card. Okay, so once again, thank you very much. And if you ever wanted to revert back to any information throughout this session, we will have it recorded and placed on our website tomorrow morning. Okay, thank you for your time this evening, and have a great night.